Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, and Ms. Lisa Wardell, President and Chief Executive Officer of Adtalem Global Education, Inc.
Please sit. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Chief Lynch and Prime Minister Motley. I'm so pleased to be here today to announce that Adtalem Global Education, a mission-based global educator in medicine, technology, and business, is bringing Ross University School of Medicine, an institution that educates medical doctors who attain residencies and then practice in the United States and Canada, to Barbados. I want to thank Prime Minister Motley and your team for your collaboration and support. We made our first visit to Barbados to explore new locations on May 31st. Just 3 months later, we have come to an agreement to relocate the school, which could only happen with a leader and a government with a bias to action to advance education and healthcare in Barbados. The teams at RUSM, as we affectionately call the Ross University School of Medicine, and the students are Rossies, you'll learn that too, and Adtalem are thrilled to be here in Barbados. RUSM just celebrated their 40-year anniversary and have graduated more than 14,000 doctors, many of whom serve as primary care physicians in low-resource communities. RUSM also has a diverse group of students, faculty, and alumni. Last year's graduating class represented over 58 nations of origin. The RUSM Academic Center will be in Bridgetown, right here, and with a beautiful, convenient, and well-appointed housing community in the parish of Christchurch. Adtalem has a strong commitment to this region. In addition to RUSM, we operate American University of the Caribbean on St. Martin and the Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine on St. Kitts. In all of our Caribbean locations, we contribute to the economy, and our schools have students, faculty, and staff who get involved in the communities and also gain so much from those communities in which they live and serve. And we know that the same will be the case as we come to Barbados. As you may be aware, the RUSM community has shown tremendous dedication since September when they faced the extraordinary and unanticipated devastation of Hurricane Maria on Dominica. As a CEO, I sometimes have to make very difficult decisions, and it is with a heavy heart that I made the decision to leave Dominica. My team and I are personally partnering with PM Skerritt to transition in the best possible way for the people of Dominica. They have been the Ross family for decades, and Prime Minister Skerritt is both a partner and a friend to Adtalem Global Education. But my job is to position RUSM for the future, and for us, the future is Barbados. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lisa. Ministers of Government, members of the Public Service of Barbados, members of Adtalem Global, and in particular the Ross family, Rossies. We are particularly pleased to welcome you to Barbados. Lisa was absolutely correct that on the 31st of May was the first time that we received a call indicating that there was an interest in this university relocating to another Caribbean island. And there was no certainty as to where it would be, but we would want to engage and to discuss. Over the course of the last 10 weeks, it's been a whirlwind. And I want to particularly thank the members of my cabinet, the members of the Public Service of Barbados, all of whom worked with a level of focus that causes me to be very proud to say that this is the team that the people of Barbados have leading them with respect to where we can go. This is an absolute statement of confidence, and it points with what we've been trying to do and what we've said we wanted to do from day one with respect to our manifesto. We believe that our country can be a hub for education and for medical services, not just for domestic provision of those services, but for global provision of those services. It is against that background that this relationship with Adtalem Global is particularly of importance to us. And I believe that if we can, over the course of the next few months, do all that is necessary to ensure that classes start January 5th, 2019, that Barbadians will all get to see the benefit of the economic activity that having just under 1,500 students, 100 faculty, and I believe just under another 200 administrative support members will have from their presence in this country. We took a decision to lease the building behind us at Sherburn. This building was to have been the site for government's offices, particularly the Prime Minister's office, the Government Information Service, and others. And we've agreed that we believe that putting Ross there will bring a far greater economic return and would be a far better fit for the people of Barbados than having the Prime Minister in offices there. As a result, some 81,000 square feet in that building and another 10,000 square feet where the Ministry of Tourism is in this building will be released so as to allow Ross to have its full presence in this one location here at the Lloyd Erskine Sandford Center as the new campus for Ross University Barbados. We've also agreed that we will work with the developers at Coverley. I believe there's some 400 houses that are partially built or that are to be completed over the course of the next 6 months, because as you would appreciate, relocating a school of this size requires a number of moving parts to come together. And as fate would have it, the partially built houses at that site were a perfect fit for Ross, but I'm told that even with that, there will be a need for substantial private accommodation of the site at Coverley as well. So Barbadians will get to benefit as well from the provisioning of housing to the rest of the faculty and to the other students that can't be accommodated at Coverley. So ladies and gentlemen, the economic activity that we expect Ross to spin as a result of their presence here is likely to be in the vicinity of over $100 million, 1% of GDP, and we believe that this is the kind of direction, the kind of investment, the kind of partnership that we in Barbados want to bring. We feel, and have always said, that a student, for the most part, is a 9-month tourist. And we are in the business of tourism. We have a strong legacy in education, and we have also had a strong legacy in the provision of health care. It is a perfect marriage for the people of this country. Against this background, I would like to say that while we've had other offshore universities here, we've done this always on a one-off basis in terms of our relationship. I have spoken to the Attorney General, and we've agreed that we would be best suited to bring a piece of legislation that will allow for full transparency with respect to the framework within which offshore universities can expect to be accommodated in the context of Barbados. So there's utter transparency and certainty, and no one has to doubt where we are going or what you're entitled to. So ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very happy to welcome this family, particularly at this time of year. This is our Kwapoba. My voice may reflect it, but nevertheless, we believe that whatever we have to do to reach January 5th for a seamless start of classes will be done, because this is the commitment we've given to Ross, but this is what we know we are capable of doing as a nation and as a government. And as I said, I start by thanking the people who have made this possible, the ministers, public servants, and I want to end by thanking them, but also now asking the rest of Barbados to join us in this singular effort of making this country the home and a welcoming home for the people of Ross University by January 5th, so that we can have a seamless partnership moving forward. With respect to our friends in Dominica, I'd like to say that it is not easy for any country to rebuild after the kind of climatic events that they had. The natural disasters that fell upon Dominica were those that we continue to argue have put us on the front line of the war against climate change in circumstances where we did not start the war. Lisa has already indicated that Dominica remains a friend to ADTALM, and whatever we can do to help, because we believe that the provision of educational and medical services is part of the future of the Caribbean, not just Barbados. And to the extent that we can encourage more activities with the provision of offshore universities in the Caribbean, we will work together, not just for Barbados, but for every CARICOM member, as is our commitment. Similarly, we feel that Dominica's adjustment has been difficult. And we believe that we as a country, in circumstances where we may be benefiting now, not because of anything other than the circumstances of nature, that we would also like to consider and to have the Cabinet consider offering scholarships to Dominicans at the post-secondary level in Barbados, because we do recognize that Ross's presence would have generated a level of economic activity in Dominica, and we will therefore work with them to see how best we can do that kind of provisioning of scholarships, but also secondly, if we can get to a point where we can work together as a region within the context of the single market to see how best, through the establishment of a common community investment policy, which we're looking to establish by the end of the year within the single market and single economy, that if we can do that, then we can work to make sure that all of us can complement each other within the region with respect to the range of services that this region offers. It is not only and should not only be regarded as a zone of peace, but it should be regarded as a zone for the provision of top-class educational services, as is already happening. So we look forward to working with our friends in Dominica and with ADTALM, which is a global leader. I don't think most people here know, Lisa, the range of universities that your group also has beyond Ross, and it may be a good thing for the benefit of the press before we close, if you just give an idea of some of the other universities.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Prime Minister. Globally, primarily in the U.S. and a large presence in Brazil, we have about 200,000 students. We have one of the largest nursing schools in the U.S. Chamberlain University has a College of Nursing and a College of Health Professions. About 23,000 students attend Chamberlain in anything from BSN pre-bac programs all the way to doctorate programs. So there we see a way that we can think about broadening the healthcare education as we think about partnering in a long-term way with Barbados. We have 12 different institutions in Brazil, everything from a medical school, nursing, technology, business. We have one of the largest business schools in Brazil, IBMEC, that serves students in Rio, Sao Paulo, and many other cities in Brazil. We have a professional education group that does everything from training people for CPA review, test taking, to the USMLE, which they will need for these medical educations, as well as ACAMS, which is the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists. And those are folks who fight financial crime across the globe, active in all over the globe, but specifically also in the Caribbean and Latin America. And we're already talking about ways that we can be more active here as we think about expanding that professional education vertical. I mentioned that we have 2 medical schools and the vet school. The vet school just opened a research building in July on St. Kitts that is really designed around One Health. And so if you think about zoonotic diseases that are transmitted from animals to humans, et cetera, Zika, dengue, everything that we talk about and think about in this region, we have the perfect, we can drive those relationships. And I would say, and you'll get to know Adtalem and definitely Ross a little more as we become partners here in the country of Barbados. But one final thought I wanted to just mention is partnerships are really driven by people. We have partnerships, as I mentioned, all over the world. And here you have a prime minister who has found this country a long-term partner, an economic engine, and an educational institution of the highest academic quality. All of our schools are accredited in the U.S. and other places in the globe. And that's the kind of partner we think is the right way to go as you drive the agenda for this administration and for this country around medicine, healthcare, and education. So we are just so pleased to be partners, and we have plenty of folks here who can tell you more about everything that we do at Adtalem. For us, education is our mission, and it is the driver of socioeconomic change in people's lives and people's families. And so that's what we think about every time we make a decision to open an institution, expand an institution. We want it to be something that's going to have long-lasting impact on people, and of course that means the communities in which they live. So this is a great place for us to do that.
Thank you. For a minute, I thought she was speaking about Barbados with respect to the commitment to education and the socioeconomic driver.
Oh, it was.
Because that is the DNA of our country, and that is why this government has remained committed to education being the bedrock of full and complete development of our people, whether it is with respect to our stand with the University of the West Indies or now with respect to other educational institutions. And may I say that for us, it is not only at the tertiary level, but we believe that there are other opportunities for the provision of educational services at all levels of the development of persons. I'd like to ask the press if there are any questions before we wrap up.
Joseph, Barbados Today.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, cool. Just for clarification, just wanted to find out if the $100 million is a one-off or this is an annual.
No, that's the economic impact, my brother.
Okay.
It's not what they're bringing as a financial donation. In other words, every day that you have 1,500 students buying stuff, 100 faculty, they're buying food, they're buying other items, they're using transport services. So by the presence of Ross in this country, we reckon that at least $100 million more will spend in this economy. Yesterday, the governor of the central bank spoke about the economy contracting. In order for the economy to grow, there has to be an expansion of the provision of services and goods. Ross has come. You know, they say better to be born lucky than to be born rich. Well, within 1 week of us becoming the government, this opportunity became available to us. We had either to make it happen or watch it go by. We chose to make it happen.
Right.
Any other questions? I guess it's crop over in truth. Yes, sir.
Hi, Alex Dongs, Nation Newspaper. Just a quick question in terms of the medical universities we have here on the island. I'm just trying to understand how this will seem to complement the others are already on island. If you can just share that with us.
I'm not sure what you mean by compliment, but
Okay.
the reality is, as I said, Barbados is to be a hub for educational services and for medical services. We have 2 others, I believe, 2 or 3, and I think a number of licenses were given in the last year, but they have not gotten off the ground yet. With respect to Ross, they are probably going to be by far the biggest that has come, and certainly the kind of logistical efforts that we have to put in place for Ross would indicate to me that they are the biggest that have come thus far. So I've said earlier that we feel that rather than deal with each university on a one-off basis, on a one-one basis, that our governance is always best when we root it in a policy or a legislative framework that is transparent, that is certain, and that is fair. And to that extent, therefore, the policy that we have used, certainly in our relationship over the course of the last 10 weeks, has suggested to me that that can be the basis for the draft and instructions for the Chief Parliamentary Council. And the Attorney General and I have agreed that we will treat to this with a level of urgency to facilitate what we have agreed to administratively with Ross, but to put it on a statutory footing to give greater certainty and hopefully to persuade them that this is an island that they may want to bring some more of those many universities or schools that you heard Lisa speak about just now. So to that extent, they complement each other, yes. And being a student carries with it a certain way of life. Students like to spend money in certain things. They're active. They're not only going to be coming to school, they're going to spend money in restaurants, they're going to spend money in cinemas, they're going to spend money partying, they're going to spend money on the beach. There's a whole beach culture. So all of these things will allow money to circulate across this country. And that's the benefit, and that's why we've worked as hard over the course of the last 10 weeks to make this a reality. And I really want to thank some public servants, because those who are here very often are faceless. And the truth is we would not have gotten to this point. Mr. Nicky Smith, who literally was given an instruction to come and find locations as a matter of urgency, and worked well with Mr. Andrew Malalou. Mr. Andrew Malalou of Terra, my PS in the Prime Minister's office, Ms. Alice Jordan, certainly the Chief Medical Officer who remained engaged from day one, Dr. George, thank you very much. The Chief Town Planner and the former PS in Town Planning, and Mr. Headley, the three of you would have played, Mr. Maynard, a critical role. And then, of course, Ministry of Education, both PS Phillips and now other Phillips again. And Minister Bradshaw is not here with us, but who has asked me to express her wonderful feelings as to how you can and have been working together, I think, with Mr. Lake, and we want to thank him for that. The Minister of Health as well, Mr. Bostic, who would have worked with the CMO on this matter, and his Permanent Secretary, P.S. Chandler, thank you. And then, of course, the Ministry of Finance officials, P.S. Headley, and the Director of Finance, who does not want to be recognized, but who needs to be, Mr. Ian Carrington. And then, of course, the Ministry of Public Information, with respect to Minister Moe and P.S. Arlene and GIS and the Director of Public Affairs, Ms. Pat Paris, all of them. And of course, finally, the Barbados Conference Services Limited and its chairman, who literally landed and came to shore very fast in order to make this an event. So believe you me, we don't normally do these things, but given the scale of work and the scale of intervention, and the other officers, I see DPS Selma Green here, given the scale of intervention that was needed for this to happen, I feel that it is only right that I single out the public servants. Of course, the other ministers who are here, Minister Walcott, Minister Strawn, Minister Cattle, and of course I forgot Minister Duguid and P.S. Cummins have been working with Ross too to try and work out how we're going to deal with the transport issues in a way that is most beneficial to the people of Barbados by having a seamless utilization of excess capacity transport where possible for the movement of the students from Coverley to this campus here and back. All of these things could not have happened without persons becoming involved. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
One more question, Prime Minister.
Mr.
Just
Joseph
walk.
likes
Yes.
to slip under the door all the time.
Just one question. Now you're on your feet, and we're talking about investment. And I just want you to wrap this into the central bank governor's report, and if you give us your brief assessment of it.
I don't wrap anything into anything. So, and I think you know me well enough to know that if I intended to come here to address you on the Governor of the Central Bank's report, I would have done so fully and frontally and not through a back door. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, and President and CEO of Adtalem Global Education, Inc., Ms. Lisa Wardell. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending this event, which is a combination of a media event and the launch of the establishment of Ross University Medical School in Barbados. I want to just once again extend a warm welcome to Adtalem Education, Inc., and to wish everyone a good weekend. Please join us for refreshments just outside. Thank you.
Thank you very much again.